You ever just stare at a spreadsheet, a wall of numbers, and your eyes just glaze over? Well, today, we're going to talk about how to take all that raw, kind of confusing data and turn it into a visual story that actually makes sense. And we're going to do it with just a little bit of Python code. So let's just dive right in and look at the problem we're trying to solve.
Okay, so on the left, this is where we almost always start, right? A table of data. It's accurate, no doubt, but what is it telling you? And on the right, well, that's the goal, a clear, easy-to-understand story. This whole explainer is about how we build that bridge from one side to the other.
To build that bridge, we've got to understand the basic problem. We're calling this bit numbers versus stories because, honestly, a lot of the time, those raw numbers are actually hiding the most important parts of the truth from you.
So I want to ask you something. Just think about it for a second. Why isn't a table of data, even if it's 100% correct, really enough to get what's going on?
I mean, take a look at this table. It shows sales for the first 6 months of the year. The numbers are all there, but can you spot the trend in like 2 seconds? Is business picking up? Is it slowing down? The real story is kind of buried in there because our brains just aren't wired to find patterns in a boring list of digits.
And that brings us right to the solution, a picture's power. We have to translate this data from the language of spreadsheets into a language our brains were actually built to understand, and that is the language of visuals.
And that translation process, it has a name, data visualization. Now, the really important part of this definition is that it's both an art and a science. It's a science of making sure the points are plotted correctly, for sure, but it's also the art of picking the right kind of visual to show you that hidden insight and tell a really powerful story.
Okay, but how do we actually do it? Well, we're going to use a really simple and powerful set of tools. Let's take a look at our new digital paintbrush and canvas, the Python Toolkit.
So, to get started, we really only need 2 main tools. Think of Matplotlib as your foundational paintbrush. It's the workhorse. It can create pretty much any basic chart you can dream up. Then you've got Seaborn. Seaborn is like upgrading your art kit. It's built on top of Matplotlib, and it lets you create these really beautiful, more advanced visuals with hardly any extra effort.
All right, enough theory. This is where it gets fun. This is where we turn simple instructions into instant understanding. It's time to watch the magic happen as we turn a little bit of code into total clarity.
Hey, remember that table of sales data from before? To see it as a picture, we give our computer this one simple, super readable instruction. We're basically just saying, hey Python, just plot our sales data across all the months. That's literally it. And with that single command, the numbers from that boring table just transform. You get this clear line chart, and you can instantly see the story. After a little dip in February, sales started a really strong upward climb. The insight is immediate. You just get it.
Okay, cool. But what if we have a different question? What if we want to compare revenue between a few different cities? Well, we just use a different but equally simple instruction. We say, create a bar chart comparing the revenue for each city.
And here's what you get. No more scanning a table, trying to remember which number was bigger than the other. You can see in a fraction of a second that City B is crushing it. It's our top performer. The whole point is, the right chart makes comparing things effortless.
All right, one last example, and this time we'll use our more advanced tool, Seaborn. What if you want to find relationships that are totally hidden in your data? Like does spending more on marketing actually lead to more sales? This one line of code tells Python to find all those connections and make something called a heat map.
And boom, the code generates this simple little color-coded map. Here, any number that's close to 1 means there's a strong positive connection. And if you look where sales and marketing cross, you see 0.9. That tells us they are very strongly connected. You just discovered a key driver of the business in seconds, without some crazy complex chart. You know, if we boil this whole thing down, the entire process is this simple. It's 3 steps. You start with your data, you write one simple instruction, and you instantly reveal the hidden story. It's a simple, repeatable process for finding clarity anywhere.
So this brings us to the big finale. Now that you've seen how it works, the real question is about applying it. What about your data story? What kind of insights are just sitting there, waiting for you to discover them?
If you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. This is the core idea. Visualization isn't just about making pretty graphs. It's a tool for translation. It turns these abstract numbers into concrete stories that you can actually see and understand and then act on.
And that's really what I want to leave you with. Whether it's for your business, your personal projects, or you're just curious, there is data all around you. The only question left is, what story is your data waiting to tell?